With the first round of the NFL draft done and out of the way, it's really starting to seem like the Chicago Bears will have the most exciting, if not the best offense in the NFL next season. And with all of the additions added during free agency, it's starting to feel like the Chicago Bears are on the other side of the rebuild. You know, Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles have done an amazing job, building this team from the ground up since arriving in Chicago, 2 or 3 years ago. And shout out to Ian Cunningham too, the assistant GM who just signed an extension. He's also been great. Now, let's start it off by talking about the Bears' first overall pick, their brand new franchise QB. I'm talking former Heisman winner Caleb Williams. Now, for a while now, everybody in the NFL knew that the Bears were going to be drafting Caleb Williams, but the fact that it happened makes it all the more real. Now, Caleb Williams is a phenom and has been since coming out of high school. Caleb Williams has balled out at Oklahoma and USC during his college days. I mean, if we take a look at his stint in USC, his first season, the year he won the Heisman, he threw for about 4,500 passing yards, had 42 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and a rating of 168.5. He was phenomenal. His completion percentage was about 66.6%. Yes, 2/3 of the balls he threw ended up being caught, because that's how great Caleb Williams was. I mean, there's a reason he won the damn Heisman, because he was the best quarterback, if not the best player, in college football that season. Now, his rushing game has never been great like, the Bears' last guy, Justin Fields, but he doesn't need a good rushing game when he's got the arm talent, the accuracy, the football IQ that he has. And still, that didn't stop Caleb from having over 100 rushing attempts and 10 rushing touchdowns that season. Now let's get to the 2023 season, which wasn't as successful, but let's be real. USC had a terrible team put around Caleb Williams. It was really hard for him to succeed, okay? I mean, the defense was abysmal. They easily would have had 2 or 3 extra wins on the season had USC just had a competent defense. But of course, they didn't. Caleb Williams was hurt by that. But you know what? His play was still his play. In 12 games his senior year, Caleb Williams threw for about 3,600 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, and still only 5 interceptions. This man knows not to turn the ball over, or at least he's really good at not turning the ball over, basically. And his rating jumped up to about 170.1, with his completion percentage somehow getting even better to a 68.6. So shout out to Caleb for having 2 fantastic years with USC and becoming the first overall pick. The future is looking bright in the Windy City. Now, he isn't the only prospect that the Chicago Bears drafted, because with their 9th overall pick, their own pick, they were able to select Rome Odunze. Yes, somehow, someway, Rome Odunze fell into the Chicago Bears' lap. You see, the Bears loved Rome Odunze so much that it came out that, Ryan Poles really wanted to trade up in the draft to go ahead and select him, but Ian Cunningham kept him in check and let him know he'll fall to us. And thankfully, he did, because Rome Odunze with Caleb Williams, yeah, that's a match made in heaven. And shout out to the other NFL teams ahead of the Bears that really kind of fumbled the bag. Maybe the Chargers would have drafted Malik Nabers instead of Joe Alt, which would have forced the Giants to draft Rome Odunze. That didn't happen, and now that Malik Nabers is gone, the Titans didn't want a receiver, so they passed on Rome Odunze too, drafted a lineman, and then the Falcons go out and they draft Michael Penix Jr. instead of adding some offensive tools for Kirk Cousins, the guy they just gave $180 million to. Yeah, all of those things had to happen for the Chicago Bears to end up with Rome Odunze, who was a fantastic receiver for Michael Penix Jr. in Washington, one of the reasons they made it all the way to the national championship. I mean, in Rome Odunze's senior season, he went out and had 92 receptions for the Huskies, clearly Michael Penix Jr.'s favorite target last season. He also had 1,640 receiving yards with 13 touchdowns. Somehow, he was able to improve off of his junior season with the Washington Huskies, where he had about 75 receptions in 12 games, 1,145 receiving yards, and only 7 touchdowns. And last season felt like a pretty good step up for Rome. And yet in 2023, he tops that and has an even better one, okay? You know, I was watching a lot of Washington Huskies highlights for Michael Penix Jr. I wanted to see where he would go because he is a great talent, has just dealt with a lot of injuries in his early career. And in a lot of Michael Penix Jr. highlights, who was on the other end of those? Yeah, Rome Odunze was catching those highlight passes. You know, it's a fantastic pickup for the Bears, who already have a loaded receiving core as is. And I'm going to get to that right after this. I just wanted to slow this video down, remind you guys to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 3,000 subscribers. Every subscription goes a long way, so you know, just please subscribe. Would madly appreciate it. Alright, let's get back to it. The next receiver I want to talk about on the Chicago Bears is Keenan Allen, someone the Bears were able to trade for only giving up a 4th round pick, the 110th pick in this year's draft. That's all it cost the Chicago Bears, besides a ton of money. You see, the reason the Chargers had to move on from Keenan Allen is because they were way over the salary limit, and they didn't want to go into they didn't want to have to pay extra, you know, the luxury tax, you know the deal. They didn't want to have to pay extra, so because of financial reasons, they had to move on from Keenan Allen, and the Bears had a lot of cap space to get this deal done. They ended up signing him to a 4-year deal with $80 million, with 43 of those being guaranteed, and you know, 13 million coming in his signing bonus. So that is huge money for Keenan Allen, and since the Bears have a new rookie quarterback, they could afford to throw some money somewhere else. And by the time Caleb Williams needs to get paid, well, you know, Keenan Allen probably won't be there. But anyway, Keenan Allen is a fantastic receiver. He's, you know, 31 years old, getting up there in age, but he has been consistently healthy for this Chargers squad. You know, he's played in 10 games or more for LA since 2016. Of course, in 2016, he did only play 1 game for the Chargers after a major injury that took him out. And, you know, the very next year, he went out and won Comeback Player of the Year, which should show you how great Allen is. And since that devastating injury, he's gone on to have 6 Pro Bowl appearances in what, 8 years? Amazing play from Keenan Allen. I am so excited to see how he fits alongside DJ Moore and now Rome Odunze. I mean, if we take a look at some of Keenan Allen's numbers last year, he caught for about 1,243 receiving yards in just 13 games for the Chargers. He also went out and, you know, he scored 7 touchdowns for a pretty lackluster Chargers offense. I mean, Justin Herbert was hurt for a little portion of the season, so, you know, Keenan Allen's numbers took a bit of a hit. Doesn't matter. Keenan Allen is still that same Pro Bowler and will probably be 1B to DJ Moore. You know, and that's who we'll get to, right? DJ Moore, the Bears superstar. Yet somehow, someway, with a team like Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, DJ Moore is still the top dog in Chicago. Who knows who will be the favorite, you know, target for Caleb Williams, but he sure as hell has a ton of options. First off, DJ Moore dominated for the Bears last season. You know, in a year where it was kind of iffy where the Bears' future was heading, the one sure thing that they had on their roster was DJ Moore. He went out and had 1,364 receiving yards with 96 receptions and 136 targets. Unbelievable stats, plus 8 touchdowns. He was wide receiver 1 for the Bears last season, and he'll probably remain that way, okay? He's just hitting his prime. He's only 26, about to be 27 years old, so that's the Bears offense for you. And I'm not done, honestly. I mean, they got a new running back, fantastic running back in DeAndre Swift. He's only 25 years old. He had a breakout year in Philadelphia last season after being stuck on the Lions for 3 years, where Dan Campbell just simply didn't know how to use this man. But of course, Nick Sirianni brought him to the Eagles and sprinkled a little bit of his Philly magic on him and really boosted those numbers and knew how to use DeAndre Swift. And after a fantastic year for Philadelphia, he signs a contract with the Chicago Bears. Like I said, they had a lot of money to spend, okay? I mean, just last year, he had 1,049 rushing yards for 5 touchdowns in 16 games he was able to play with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I am excited for this brand new offense in Chicago and all of the success that the Windy City is about to have. You know, could they win the NFC North sooner rather than later? Possibly. I mean, sure, Detroit looks great, and so does Green Bay up there with Jordan Love, but who knows? This Bears offense with a pretty mid defense on the team, yeah, I see them winning at least 10 games this season. Can't wait to watch some Bears football come the fall. Catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.